Hi and welcome to part 6, the final episode of WFP, Testing the Waters. I'm Mark the Window Cleaner, the show brought to you by WindowCleaningResource.com. Well, when we last left us with our Waterfed Poles system, I had just finished cleaning windows for the very first time, and my report back was that, for the most part the windows were clear, but there was the odd spotting here and there. Now, funnily enough, I had mentioned in that video when I was taking a look at the glass that I was probably used twice as much water than a veteran of Waterfed pole work would use. And to a great extent that was actually false, because after talking to a few veterans over the internet about my spotting issues, basically it came down to I needed to rinse a whole lot more than what I actually did there. And in actual fact, if you go back and take a look at that video, you'll notice that when I'm moving the brush back and forth rinsing, that the edge of the brush was meeting up with the edge of the window, but the jets of water coming out of the brush are actually closer to the center. So when you're rinsing, you have to make sure you get that brush all the way over to the point that the jets are also hitting the side of the windows, because that's, for the most part, that's where the spotting was, along the sides. So other than that, I mean, everything works great. I'm really happy with the way the system got put together really, really quickly. No hassles, no snags at all. It works perfectly fine. And for someone like myself who is mostly doing residential, and I'm looking at a way to tackle those really high windows, or those tricky windows, tricky to get to, or those true cut-ups that you want to really go faster with, not have to squeegee and detail every single pane. It's a perfect setup for me. As far as the water that we're using, in that episode, the last episode there, you notice I used distilled water just for our test. Now, distilled water is good water. I mean, you'll probably get a very, very low TDS reading. It's supposed to be around 0 or maybe 1 or 2 at the most. It'll work, but it's really not cost effective in the long run. For someone such as myself, who I might not be using it day in and day out, I could probably get away with what they refer to as just a DI system, deionizing system, with the TDS, that's the total dissolved solid, that's the quality of the water that's in my area where I'm doing my work. I think the TDS is about 160 or so. It's a little out of the range for what the experts would say go with it, just a DI system. Because it would be a little bit more cost effective if we went RO and DI, because the RO takes away a good chunk of the impurities before it goes to the DI stage. However, like I said, I'm not going to be using this day in and day out. It's for those odd windows here and there, those tricky windows, so I'll probably just get by with a DI only system. I do want to take a look at my water here. For those of you who don't know, to measure water quality, you use something which is known as a TDS meter. If you haven't seen one of these work, basically when you first turn it on, it's 000 right across the board. To do pure water window cleaning, we want it to be as close down to 0 as possible. Taking a look first at, I think this is my tap water. I'm going to test this water right now. Yeah, it's definitely my tap water. I basically have a reading of 160. I think I said a couple minutes ago that my tap water was about 160 here of total dissolved solids, parts per million. I'm going to reset this now, and now we're going to take a look at the sample of the distilled water that I had used on my first job there in the last video. So here's the glass of distilled water. Putting this in here. They say wait several seconds for it to stabilize, but it seems to stabilize within like 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, so this one's measuring at 3. I measured it the day of the job. It actually measured 2. It's measuring 3 now. That could be from anything. That could be from contaminants within the glass. I actually scooped this water right out of the back of the backpack, so it could be even slight contaminant in the back of the backpack there. Either way, it's pretty close to being pure water, so there's no issues there. But like I said, distilled water is not a good long-term solution. As far as where do we go, if we wanted to do more regular water-fed pole work, what we have right here, what I presented to you, is a great little system. In fact, it doesn't matter what kind of professional pole you get in the future. The backpack will always come in handy. I know a lot of veterans been doing water-fed pole work for years, and they use backpacks almost daily. So that was certainly very much worth the purchase. Even if down the road I bought myself a really high quality pole, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 pole, whatever. Still, you go back to the younger Waterfed pole kit. I mean, that can be thrown on just about any younger pole. So, if you need something for groundwork, you could probably put that on an OptiLock pole and just leave it on there. And then use your high-grade Waterfed pole for all your other stuff. So nothing that we've done here in this video series is a waste. Even though some of the veterans might say, oh, that's a nice little video series you put together there, Mark, but really, if you're going to do it, go big, Absolutely nothing wrong starting the way I started. Absolutely nothing wrong diving in full force and doing the whole shabam right from the word go. But either way, I wanted to document this particular process because I have heard it, like I mentioned in the very first video. I have heard many of the veterans talk about starting off similar to what we've just done here, but there was no real video or picture documentations of that process. Now you have it. Now you have that knowledge. You have that my experience to take upon for yourself and see if you want to go with this kind of route into Waterfed pole, or like I said, you can just go into it full force, the full shabam, and get the big kit and spend thousands of dollars. It's totally up to you. Anyway, thank you for watching WFP Testing the Waters on WCR, windowcleaningresource.com. And I hope, at the very least, that this was informative enough for some of you to make smart purchasing decisions on getting set up in pure water and Waterfed pole work. Okay, bye for now.